Wow, today is another day. Welcome to The Walk, episode 1. Now, you might be asking, actually, you might not be asking because I get no views on any of my videos. But I've been doing this YouTube shit since February, and this is probably like the 7th time I have restarted my channel. And last night, I don't know why I restarted it last night. I actually have no clear reason as to why I restarted. Uh, it was purely irrational, and it was a spur of a moment feeling. And I don't even know if it was a good decision because I'm sitting. Last night I was overthinking, thinking about everything. I was like, oh, I'm getting old. I'm 23 now, trying to start my YouTube journey, which is ridiculous since I could have started my journey. I just sneezed on the mic. Anyway, I could have started my journey at a much earlier time, a much more precedented time versus the time that I so pick now. At the end of the day, it's never too late. And I don't know why I allowed the overthinking to get the best of me and make the decisions for me. I allowed my negative, clouded judgment to essentially say my dream is stupid, that the things that I want out of this life is stupid, and I should just do the things that are expected of me, that are required of me to have a fulfilling life. And normally I would put a middle finger up to that idea. You know what I mean? Because I'm an advocate. I am a storyteller of the importance of where is this guy going? The importance of following your dream. That I'm always advocating that everybody should follow their dream and work hard at it more than anything in your life. You want to be a film writer? Do that shit. You want to be a bodybuilder? Do that shit. You want to be a philosopher? Do that shit. You want to be whatever you want to be in life? Do that shit. And I don't want this thing to be out of a desire for money. I don't want this thing to be a desire of honeys. There's a lot of things that can cloud your judgment when it comes to your dreams and how you desire them. But if it's from the heart, if it's from somewhere special, like for me, I can say streaming video games and streaming on Twitch and doing those type of things, that's something special to me because I remember as a 12-year-old kid doing that same activity, thinking that this will be what I do for the rest of my life. Even I would like, I'm telling you, like streaming and recording video games and doing gaming content has a more special place in my heart than making these type of videos. And I'm not trying to discredit. I love these videos. These videos are very special to me. But anyway, I guess I'm getting sidetracked. The whole abstraction that is my dream to follow content is also involved in this. And I don't know why. Last night I was just overthinking. I was just like saying, hey, I'm not gonna make it on YouTube. Why the fuck am I being childish, ignorant, and quite I was thinking to myself I was being selfish. Because all these hours that I'm putting into YouTube, I should be putting into other people. I should be putting into my college degree, get a job so I can support and help my family, help my friends who are also going through the same journey as I am. You know, like be there for people rather than just being selfish and following my dream. But why would I consider following my dream any different than going to college? Why would I consider these things mutually exclusive when we're talking about being selfish? You know what I mean? Like they're both the same thing. They're both me putting myself in an environment to push myself forward for the sake of supporting other people. That's the only reason why I do anything in my life. The only reason why I do anything in my life, I would say, is for the sake of others. I can be so like, and the reason why I say this is because I've been that egotistical person. I've been that selfish person. I've been that narcissistic guy in my past. And what I realized is I can have the entire world in my hand and I will be still chasing the world, which makes no sense, right? Or I can be the person that I am now, there for others, present for others, caring and loving others, and then getting that same reciprocity. I said that wrong, but I don't care. reciprocity to me. And that is far more fulfilling than any X amount of dollars I will get or won't get, any amount of girls I'm with, any amount of pleasure or appearance that I have. Because another thing I realized back in the day when I was that narcissistic motherfucking idiot, I only gave a fuck about how other people saw me. And and the way that other people saw me is how I got pleasure. Now I don't give a fuck how people look at me. I don't care how people see me. I don't even care how bummy I look when I look like shit right now and I'm going to the gym still. I don't care about these things as much as I did, but rather I care about the impact, and that's the difference. Back then I cared about the appearance I gave off to others. Now I care about the impact that I have on others. If I know I can do something that's super simple, super easy for me that can change your life, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. And that feels way better than anything else in my life that I can fucking do. And I feel like a lot of people lost that chef kiss in life. That the purpose of life basically is. I genuinely think it's to share your wealth, your blessings with other people. Granted, I'm not the greatest at this. I mean, I still have pride. I still struggle with my pride. Sometimes I'll be thinking, why not me? Why not put all that energy into me? Why not blah 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 blah. I see everyone else living an individualistic mindset. Why not I also adopt it? No. And I always have to tell myself, you did have that same mindset at a point. And then you saw how that mindset dug your grave, basically. It's what put you in this humiliating, I wouldn't say humble, but humiliating environment that made you humble. Because I can easily say, if my life just continued going good, 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 back when I was that egoist, I would have never changed. I would have, because my environment, I guess what I'm trying to say is my environment changed for me and hence made me change as a person. Because my environment humbled the fuck out of me. My environment and my circumstances, I guess that's what I'm also involving when I say environment, humbled the shit out of me. It made me realize, yo, I'm not invincible. I can't do anything. I can't do everything I want. Like, I can't do everything I say I want or I put my mind to. I can't be this person that everybody has to like kind of grovel at. Because that's, I guess, what my biggest desire was at a point. My biggest desire at a point was to become so grandiose, so fantastic, so great that everybody would eventually become like be groveling at my feet. And I'm glad I'm not that person anymore. Yeah. I mean, what the thing is, I can't also put the blame only. So I don't know how this following your dream shit got into narcissism, but hey, it's kind of entertaining. So I'm gonna continue to talk about this. I mean, at the end of the day, follow your dreams. It's not selfish to have a desire that you truly meditate on and think it's important. A desire that comes from the heart rather than the mind. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Because the way I was living my life was solely from the mind, even though I had a black heart. I had everything externally, mentally, physically, even, but I had nothing spiritually or emotionally as a human being that I can, turn to with my purpose, I guess. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like I didn't have any emotional or spiritual purpose in a way, and I only cared about like superficial shit, appearance shit, those type of things. That's what my mind was at, rather than community, love, and a passion of a hobby that I genuinely care about. And yeah. Anyway, what I was trying to get at is I was a fucking narcissist. I was a terrible person. I hated myself even now, like post. Obviously back then I loved myself because I associated everything that I was externally. I guess that's why I as an individual now preach internal work more than anything. I can't respect someone who doesn't do any internal work. Someone who would do everything self-improvement wise just externally, because I was that person. I had a killer physique. I was strong as hell. I was attractive as hell. I was all of these things, but I had nothing inside. I had nothing inside that I can actually call substance or substantial. There we go. because I had everything good for me outside. Everything good for me outside. And I guess now, at this stage in my life, I have such a wholeness and security of myself, wholeness and security of myself, that I am sure that if I ever get to a point where I regain my strength, regain my physique, regain my attractiveness, or whatever the fuck I want to call it, I don't even care about those things, to be honest. I can get those things, or I can stay like this. And I'm perfectly fine like this. But let's just hypothesize if I got those external factors. I would never let those things dictate my character ever again. I will never allow the way I look outside and the way that people treat me and the way and the materialistic things that I have acquired. I would never use these things, or I would never allow these things to dictate my virtue, my character, my essence of being. Because obviously, in the past, I was too young to understand the message that I'm having now, which is why I'm glad my circumstances / environment humbled me. Because if I didn't get that necessary humility, God knows how far in life I would have carried on with that mentality and how far that would put me in the dirt. So this is why, how do I tie this back into the dream? I did for a little bit. I talked about it for a minute, but I didn't really hone it in. You know what I mean? I didn't conclude the sentence. What I'm trying to get at is me being that computer science major that worked 35 hours a week and went to the gym 14 hours a week, all at once looked good, looked good, looked good. But it was purely pride. It was purely me acting off of pride. I didn't really care about computer science one bit. I just knew that shit would make me fat money. So I presented that identity. I do care about the gym. I won't knock the gym over, but initially my purpose with the gym was just to be sexy. Now I'm using it actually for my mental health and my physical health now, because that's what I need it for. But initially I was just going there to be looking sexy. And my girlfriend at the time thought I was sexy. So there we go. It worked, right? Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is everything I was doing was just purely off of mental thought rather than heart, rather than soul, rather than humility. It was all pride and mental, all pride and analytical, and all pride and logical. You know what I mean? It had no spirit behind it. It had no feelings behind it. It had no heart behind it. It was just textbook, superficial, surface level shit. Nothing deep, really. Nothing deep with my career, nothing deep with my intentions in the gym, nothing deep in any facet of my life. It was all superficial, materialistic, and showy, presentable. That's all it was. But if you ask me deep down inside, who are you? If you ask me deep down inside, do you know your insecurities? Do you know how to handle your insecurities? Do you know how to handle your mental health? Do you know how to handle yourself as an individual? The answer would be fucking no, because I never actually addressed those things back then. Now that I have addressed those things, and by addressing those things, I truly understand what I actually care for in this life. What actually fuels me to become better. What actually will help me long term. Even if it seems stupid. And another thing I noticed is even if I chose to identify with these identities, it was kind of reinforced by my environment. And that if I ever strayed away from these identities, I am not the Nebu that people have envisioned. Especially when I was the art narcissist. Because back then people were okay with me telling them to shut the fuck up. I got better things to worry about than you. And when I became kind of a bum and not that narcissist person, people had ample amounts of, and I will say righteous amounts of bitterness towards me and anger towards me. And to be fair, that's fair. And it kind of still carried on to this point where it kind of allowed people to treat me in a certain way and made me lose a lot of people in my life too. And made me lose myself in the process. But if I didn't go through any of that shit, bro, I would not be who I am. And I'm kind of glad, because I like the internal stability that I have now in spite of the external instability of my life. Because I can easily say back then my life was great. Like the external environment that I had in my life back then was amazing. Even though internally I was shit. In fact, I didn't need to be good internally because externally was everything was fucking perfect. Now, as I grew older and my external environment became more and more difficult, more and more rigorous, and more, I would say, seems like the universe is against me at times, I realized the importance of internal stability. And acquiring that has helped me understand that my dreams are important because I can actually back my dreams through emotion and spirit versus having to analyze its logistics and see if it makes sense in the sense of in the eyes of others and truly envision. Why are there police acting weird behind me? Okay. You saw them, right? And truly envision of a life for me versus a life that can benefit me. Do you see the difference in that statement? Narcissist ego Nebiu cared about a life that benefited him, that benefited his ego. The other Nebiu cared about the Nebiu I am now cares about my life entirely, the direction, the heart behind it all, versus then the pleasures and the external variables that give me pleasure. I care about the wholeness of my life, the integrity of my life, and the stability of my life. And I guess you can say that's stoicism in a way, but I don't want to call it stoicism because stoicism is just a way to react accordingly to your environment. What I'm preaching here is not about stoicism because I do think it's not just your reaction to your external environment, it's the way you interact with your internals versus your external. The way you interact with your character versus your actual brain. The way you interact with your brain versus the actual world. Those type of dynamics is what I'm really talking about here. I mean, if stoicism kind of helps you see that, then look at it like that. But it's not about controlling the emotions because I had great control of my emotions when I was a narcissist. I thought I was a good person. You know what I mean? I thought I was good. You know what I mean? I don't want to use the word narcissism because I didn't actually have a mental illness that was like making me act like an egoistic monster. I was just egoistic. But nonetheless, people would just label it narcissism. But it allowed me to actually like follow things that I truly believe in. Like truly. And I think that's what it means by living through your heart and spirit. When you live through your heart and spirit, it's not about does this make sense? Do I have to logically write this out so then I can embark? It's not like one of those things. It's like, oh, I understand. My phone fucking lost storage space. Now we're good. But basically what I was trying to get at is my heart understands what I truly want out of this life versus what my mind tells it what it wants. And therefore I embark things from a fullness, from an understanding, from an empathetic way, versus then a logical, cold, vindictive, egoistic manner. And I transferred that property of my purpose into my everyday life. And now I embark in life and in all my endeavors, socially, emotionally, whatever, I embark it from a sense of wholeness, from a sense of stability in heart and spirit, versus then looking at it meticulously and trying to get a benefit out of it. Because that's kind of how I was. And I'm not going to go, like any conversation I had the presupposition to think, how can I gain from this conversation? Any 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 event or date or whatever I did with people, social out gatherings, like how can I look great, better, good here so I can feel benefit? Or how can I benefit from the people around me? Now I'm just like, how can I make this space more hospitable? How can I make this space more holistic and kind of eye to eye in heart and spirit with everyone? You know what I mean? Now it's like, how can I make this feel more community? You know, like how can I make myself feel like everyone feels welcome, everyone feels warm, everyone feels good? How can I make myself that type of person? That's my concerns now in life. And with that, it allowed me to follow things I truly believed in from a place of understanding. And what I mean by understanding versus like a logical understanding is you have to do the work to consent to that understanding. While a understanding of your heart and spirit's like kind of like the love you gain from your parents when you were a baby, not a kid, when you were a baby. When you were an infant, you just understood these motherfuckers are your parents and you love them. It's not logical, it's not analytical. Maybe you do a little analyzing with your eyeballs or whatever, and how, and your fingers or what, your tiny little stubby fingers or whatever. But essentially, you just understand that these are your parents and you're going to love them and they're going to love you. That kind of understanding is what I'm talking about by heart and spirit. Because that baby did not even understand the word father, the word mother, the concept of father, the concept of mother, the constructivism that we as a country have for these terms. That baby does not understand that yet. Yep, but it understands the love from the parents, the empathy, that true understanding, that deep understanding that you kind of have to gain at the tail end of a logistical, analytical, thought process. Yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. My name was Neboglu. Welcome to episode 1. Title, what should we title this? The ego. Because I was talking about my dream entirely, but it was basically about the ego, which is a crazy first episode to start with. And I guess let's make, I don't want to restart again. I kind of just want to be consistent from here on out. So let's make some base rules. Every video, I'm going to try to make a title or name beforehand and try to talk about that throughout the video. Also, in every video, I will try not to be so emotionally charged in them, because that was my main reason for restarting. Every single video I recorded had too much emotion and it showed too much of my negative side than I would have liked. Therefore, my mic on? Therefore, I don't want to continue doing that, because I do want to show transparency and I do want to show you guys the true Neboglu. But I also don't want to push content that wouldn't help people. You know what I mean? If I'm just going on a negative rant and an angry rant, in what way can that benefit you besides seeing the worser sides of me? Trust me, you will see bad sides of me throughout this series. I promise you. But if all of my videos are that, how will you gain as a viewer? How will you learn as a viewer? Where will you change as a viewer if you're just seeing the worst of me? This is the first video that didn't, like in a long time, that wasn't emotionally charged. And therefore, it actually came out quite concise, quite easily, and actually had content. You know what I mean? So let's keep it at this level. And I will try. That's on me, honestly. That's on me. I'm still new to this shit. I started February. Well, let's get to it. All right. I got less than an hour to lift. I'm probably not going to do cardio. I got a bike at home, so I'm going to do it there. Let's get into it. Bye, guys. I love you. Jesus loves you more. If you don't believe in him, that's cool. Believe in the words that I'm saying, at least. Well, should I say that even as a Christian? Yikes. Anyway, bye.